San Diego Comic-Con occurred this past weekend, and within that convention, we got some Star Wars Outlaws details. So we're going to look at some of these details together, and a lot of these details are pulled from a behind-the-scenes video from the creators of Star Wars Outlaws themselves. So we're going to pull up this video, we're going to pause along the way, and I'm going to share some discussion, some opinions, some thoughts on some reveals that we get from this behind the scenes, and I guess it's kind of like a reaction because I haven't seen this yet. So without further ado, let's click this, let's pull it up on YouTube here, and let me make it full screen. Here we go.
Working on a Star Wars game is a dream come true.
I've had all of the toys, and it's wild to go from making these little stories on the carpet to actually build a narrative in the Star Wars galaxy.
Okay, so those first 20 seconds seem to be dedicated to showing you that the people behind this game really care for the property and for Star Wars as a franchise itself.
Massive Entertainment is the perfect choice to build an open-world Star Wars game because it is inherent to their DNA as a studio to deliver on incredible open-world experiences.
Massive Entertainment are master storytellers for open-world games. This is going to be a fresh experience for Star Wars fans everywhere.
Immediately, I had that in my head, all the possibilities.
All right, so now we're getting confirmation that the developers behind the game are top tier.
These of where do we want to go? What can we bring to Star Wars that has not been seen before?
Lucasfilm Games suggested that the perfect era to set Outlaws would be between Empire Strikes Back.
We'll just pause it there. That is a sick little graphic. We get clear indication here that the events of Star Wars Outlaws are going to occur in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I'm excited for that. I love being in the original trilogy time frame, and I think there's still some time in between those two films to explore a little bit and create our own story.
In Return of the Jedi.
What's great about that point on the timeline is this is a moment where the civil war between the Empire and the Rebellion is at its height. And this creates an
that Star Destroyer coming out of hyperspace like that was pretty sick.
Environment across the galaxy where outlaws can...
That was the Pike Syndicate. There is Han Solo, frozen in carbonite, again confirming where we're at here in the timeline.
Thrive.
That's the world that Kay is stepping into, and she sees the opportunity just like anybody else.
We will see some really cool syndicates, both from existing lore and newly created for the game.
Cool.
When you play Star Wars Outlaws, you get a chance to discover what the underworld is like and live through those experiences.
The stakes are definitely very high.
All right, there was our actress for Kay Vess. Let me read.
It's like and live through those experiences.
The stakes are...
Freeze it there. That's what I was saying. So I want to give a shout out. Humberly Gonzalez. So shout out to her. She is representing Kay Vess in this upcoming game that we're all going to get to play as. Just wanted to give that
definitely very high for Kay's journey through the underworld. But she learns, she adapts, she sneaks around, and she finds herself in very important spaces with very powerful people.
All right, so clearly we're getting some heavy Jabba the Hutt action in this game, it looks like.
Building the world of Star Wars Outlaws, first thing we had to do was think of places where outlaws...
That place looks cool. Really cool.
...thrive. These hubs of scum and...
It kind of reminds me of the place that Cassian Andor goes to in the first moments of the Andor series. A little bit different, a little bit more flashy and not as gritty, but it just gives me those vibes at least.
Villainy.
The most exciting thing is being able to go back to iconic locations that people know and love, but then diving into the Lucasfilm archives and really bringing them alive in a new but...
All right, so that definitely looked like a Jedi, so that's exciting.
Very genuine way.
It's not...
Was it a Jedi, though? Again, I got to remind myself of the timeline that we're in. It's interesting, though, regardless of the vibes that that character is giving.
Not just about recreating Tatooine.
Let me know down in the comments, do you think we're getting Jedi in this game?
As you know it, going back to the classic sources of spaghetti westerns, we try to recreate an authentic mood and feel
Tatooine.
as we build new points of interest to follow the already established history.
Jabba's palace in this game.
And there is a new location that we collaborated with Massive Entertainment on called Toshara.
Toshara, new location.
And this has been built from the ground up with the scoundrel fantasy at its beating heart.
That's exciting to me. I love the fact that we are getting a new location that's new and brand new only to this game, as well as familiar locations to make us all nostalgic and excited for the game itself.
Hang on!
Our goal is that you feel like you're stepping into Star Wars. And that means going back to those Macquarie concepts.
Okay. Him shouting out Macquarie makes me even feel better about the creators behind this game. They studied if we're getting this image here and we're pulling that name. That's exciting to hear. This is good news to me.
That's going back to Joe Johnston's storyboards, Phil Tippett's creature designs, and creating a lived-in galaxy.
We're trying to create a world that feels alive and bustling with opportunity, that also is very grounded. And we're getting inspiration from the African savannah. But we still want to add the alien element.
That's cool. That was cool.
And that is what makes it feel like Star Wars.
We want to give Toshara some elements that make it really stand out in the Star Wars galaxy. So there are windswept plains, veins of amberine.
So I imagine this is like the hub, like the main location, then it sounds like. Is this new location that they've created, like maybe where she's from, or maybe just where her little bounty location, her guild, where she gets her job? Maybe that's where we always report back to. Who knows? But definitely going to be a central focus, to say the least.
And there's a vibrant city called Mirogana that's built into a huge rock that's been carved out by the wind that's ever present on Toshara.
That's cool.
One thing that we need to always keep in mind is there's always a connection between the biome and what grows
All right, that's giving me Lion King meets Star Wars vibes.
there, what lives there, like the flora, fauna, and the culture of the people who inhabit the place. From how the plants pollinate, or how vegetation and local resources are used in local clothing and buildings, to even how the locals have adopted wind into their way of life. We have created
how the locals have adapted wind into their life. I'm kind of excited just to explore that. I love whenever we get like new cultural necessities throughout the galaxy. I love when we get those little tidbits.
everything with an authentic approach, so players will experience all these places like someone who actually is there.
We made it, Nix.
Working with Massive, we were able to really build out an authentic Star Wars world where you can travel, explore, and discover
That looks like the place in Rise of Skywalker. I'm blanking on its name at the moment.
in a way that we really haven't been able to experience in modern Star Wars gaming.
The high-stakes scoundrel lifestyle and the open-world promise allowed us to create a game within Star Wars that had never been done before. Not just exploring cities, but also getting onto your speeder and race across stunning wilderness. Then jump into your ship, the Trailblazer, and go on an incredible...
All right, so the ship is called the Trailblazer. I like that. Shout out Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard, although I think Damian Lillard's asking for a trade. He might not be a Trailblazer for much longer. Anyway, cool tidbit.
Incredible adventure.
We've only scratched the surface of what Star Wars Outlaws has to offer. There is so much more that you will get to embody and use.
All right, that's a cool place. I don't know if we've really seen a lot of footage of that foresty location. Looks like we got a little scout trooper back there. I know this is concept art for sure, but...
And play when you become K-Vest.
Players are going to love Star Wars Outlaws. It's going to be exciting. It's very adventurous, and that's what makes it Star Wars. So I'm very excited to share that.
So, where do we go next?
Where do we go next? When you get your hands on this game, where are you most excited to go? Let me know.
Anywhere we want.
I can't lie, I'm most excited to go to this new planet, or this new location now. I'm a sucker for Star Wars locations. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, but give me the new world for sure.
Star Wars Outlaws, coming 2024.
All right, looks like that's it. Even though this video's got a solid 10 seconds left, but I think that's really it. All right, pretty cool there. Some solid takeaways, to say the least. I want to go back to Star Wars Newsnet where I pulled this video from. Just scroll through here real quickly to see if there's anything that we may have missed. One of the quotes here, we will see some really cool syndicates, both from existing lore and newly created for the game. We definitely got that from the behind-the-scenes video. We'll also be spending a lot of time at Jabba's Palace. We definitely got those vibes, so we can definitely kind of glance over that. Well, although I see here that it says we're running missions for the Hutt himself and navigating the criminal underworld he's at the center of, and yes, it's possible not just to work for Jabba, but also to betray him, which of course has its own set of consequences. I'll be betraying Jabba. That sounds like a lot of fun, for sure. All right, let's see. It looks like we got some information regarding a different crime syndicate. It says the Ashiga clan is a clan that we created in close collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. They're based on Kijimi. Okay, that's the planet from The Rise of Skywalker. It's a faction that we really designed around this idea of a very... Oh, yeah, y'all are seeing my lack of reading skills here. Hierarchical... something like that. Society that's based on honor, tradition, and history. Their visuals are very much inspired by insects, and they propose a gameplay challenge for the players in terms of NPCs that are really contrasted to everybody else. So that's not just in combat, but it's also in stealth. There's a lot of things that they managed to fill out for us to be able to have a very different experience for players compared to some of the other syndicates that you'll meet, like the Hutts or the Pikes. Okay, so they're hyping up this new Ashiga clan. I'm excited for that. That's cool. Let's see. Okay, we got this confirmation of this new moon of Toshara. I think that was its name. Let's see, moving on. Some cool shots that we got from this behind the scenes. I think down here, too, they talk about how they addressed the Kyle Katarn character. Yeah, this guy. A lot of us think that he looks like Kyle Katarn. Of course, if you are a massive fan of the old school games like, what's it called, Jedi Academy, something like that, Kyle Katarn shows up there. I loved those games, and I love this character, but I believe they addressed the fact that even though this character looks like Kyle Katarn, it's definitely not. And in fact, here's the quote. It says, "It is not Kyle Katarn. It's a character you are going to be working with that has their own motivations. It's impossible for us to talk more about it without revealing too much." Okay. So they're teasing that this dude's going to be extremely, extremely, extremely important. But those were really the main things that I wanted to go through here with you on this video. Try to kind of show you my thoughts on this little behind-the-scenes video that they showed, and maybe some tidbits that were said at the panel itself whenever they were talking about Star Wars Outlaws that I pulled here from this Star Wars Newsnet article. But what do you think of all of these things regarding Star Wars Outlaws? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like what you see here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you love Star Wars, this is your place. And I'll catch you on the next video. As always, well, may the Force be with you. And as always, we have spoken.